Hello and welcome to our 50-second podcast. In this one, we're going to have a little fun. We're going to take a look at, an isolated, unloaded electric motor in our lab, and we're going to take audio. Basically, we're going to take some video of that as well. I'm going to show you the setup. We're going to go through it and everything else. Just so you're aware, this is the initiation of a study we're doing on identifying faults using sound, and then also the energy and emissions impact of that information. So we're not going to succeed today, and of course I've already done the work, so I'm aware. We're not going to succeed today, but what we're going to do is within the next couple of months, we're going to take the data that we have, come up with a methodology to filter out the noise and see if we can actually detect some of the things we're going to see with electrical signature analysis. Now, in the next part here, I'm going to show you the setup, and then we're going to shorten up the next two videos so you can hear the sound as heard from the data collection device. Okay, so that'll be an onboard video while it's taking data. You'll be able to hear the sound. Now, there is no microphone on this laptop. I have to install a separate one. So the only sound that'll be coming in is directly from the current transformer through the device. So that sound you'll hear, and then we'll do a comparison immediately of the audible sound from the video. And then we're going to go into taking a look at the data that was brought in from the CT, and then we'll look and see what the spectra looks like outside of that. So with that, let's have some fun. Okay, in this experiment, we are going to take concurrent data with the Empower, which you'll see here on your left. Okay, and you'll watch that. And at the same time, after I stop this video, and we'll watch it start up so you can see the waveform and so on. But we're going to go ahead and record the exact same amount of time in video on the camera, because we're going to try something that I'll have discussed about in the earlier part of this podcast. We're kind of out of order, of course. I'm doing this first to see if it works before I do the podcast, but you know. So anyways, so we're going to go ahead and start this up. First, we'll supply 240 volts. So it's going to be, just around, just over 180 volts. The machine and the software is not going to know that. Okay, so once we're there, and you can see that there is some signal that occurs there. That's because whenever you have a drive supplied with power, there is some level of energy that is present all the time. It's one of the reasons why you have to fully lock out and discharge the thing. So in any case, just so you can watch a waveform as it catches up in the Empower kind of in the background. You can see I've got my Camtasia set up ready to go for when we do the actual comparison. So I'm going to stop now, and let's get ready. Okay, now that we've captured the video, and audio, and also the Empower data. Let's go ahead. The first one we're going to look at is the Empower data. Then I'm going to split out the file, the sound file from a wave file actually, from the video that we took at the same time. And then we're going to do a few things off screen. And then we're going to run the analysis. Now, it's going to be the sound. I'm not going to alter anything other than to make it also, basically make it a wave file that the Empower can manage without changing anything. I'll change some stuff so that we get the values to be similar. Like for instance, this is showing 2.89 amps. Let me write that down so I don't forget. And RMS current will be 1.7, but the peak overall current is going to be 2.89 amps. I'm going to do something to convert everything else over. And then RMS is 1.7. That's pretty consistent for the data we've taken on it. You can see that there's a couple of peaks here and here, and if you've watched the previous videos, previous podcasts, you'll know that this is all surrounding the first carrier frequency, which is 2 kilohertz, and this is a harmonic of that. All my other conditions are down here. I'm operating it at 50 hertz just to separate everything out. And then my running speed should be somewhere about here and here because it's a 4-pole machine that's normally 60 hertz that's running at 50 hertz. So let's go ahead and we're going to run the analysis. This is going to take about 90 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and get it started. And then I'm going to pause this recording while it runs. Okay, and here we go. It's running the analysis, and it's going to take certain measurements at each marker that we have created for the different types of issues that are expected to be found. Found Sasquatch. And yeah, here we go. Just about done. And then it's going to place all of the cursors once it's done. So the Empower software basically does all the analytics and then displays it. Thought about doing a chunk and a chunk and a chunk so you watch some progress, but really it was better to do it all in one thing, and you'll see why. How quickly this all occurs, of course, depends on a couple of things. So it's selected a speed. Here's the cursors for the different conditions and everything else. It sees winding stress as an issue. Let's go ahead and take a look here. This is the watt spectra estimated, and then the watts for each type of component, including any type of stator or air gap issue, and then all the bearings and everything else. So that shows up here as a list. You notice the values are very low for each of the frequencies. That's because small motor unloaded. But let's go ahead and do a quick analysis. And this will give us, based upon the number of hours we've set and the cost. So we've said 6,000 hours and 14 cents a kilowatt. So that ends up being this value here. And yeah, there's nothing else that it saw. So anyways, it runs a little bit more of an analysis as well. So these are the values. We're going to now compare this to the next one. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick screen capture here. So that we have this data, and we will return to it. We'll return to it as soon as I run the other analysis. So with that, let's go ahead and we will work on the next phase. Okay, so we when we take the data in and convert it to a WAV file and take a look at it, it doesn't quite show up the way we expect. It does not look like the spectra as we would see in our in the current signature analysis. Even though the sound is, well, you could hear the sound was a little different. So let's zoom in and see what, because right now it's showing me a line frequency peak of about 2 kilohertz. That would actually be the firing frequency of the drive. So the sound focused on the sound waves from the drive noise versus the machine itself. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we see when we go down into that 200 hertz range, and we're looking at the same thing. Now what I did is I also put in a decibels. Have not converted it over to current at all, but we are using the same basic everything, including the flat top and everything else. So let's see what this looks like when it finishes running. Here we go. So our 50 hertz peak would be right about here, and there's some other peaks in there, but they don't resemble what we're looking for. So the question is, can we, and we're going to explore this a little later, can we somehow eliminate all of the other noise around the system in order to focus primarily on the conditions inside the machine using airborne sound? Now, I'm not using ultrasound yet, and I'm not using contact ultrasound either. We'll approach that at another time, but I just wanted to basically say, okay, just taking the raw data when we're looking at this. Now, when I'm doing transformers and the like, that was different. I was looking specifically for frequencies that were airborne that would show me certain things. So no, at this point in time, we can't yet do that. And I say yet because how do we take this data and convert it over to something that we can use so that it looks basically the same? Whether that is us going to a contact type data collection, or is there some other way we can do the audio? Now, right now, I'll also remind everyone that we were in a isolated room with just the sound of a single motor, nothing else running, no ventilation, everything was turned off. So it was, not perfectly soundproof, but we didn't have a lot of isolated sound. So this is basically between that 5 kilohertz and this is what we were looking at. So probably in a little while, probably in 2 or 3 of our podcasts out, we'll return to this and see if we've found a method of filtering it. With that, have a great day and enjoy.